Presented by Brothers Truck Parts. Here's HE&M Saw's Project Hudson Hornet.
You guys are familiar with our HE&M Saw Project Hudson Hornet that we are restoring. This is going to be a driver, and we're going to show you guys how to make your project cool and quiet, whether it's an old resto like we have, or whether it's a new import or domestic. This is going to make it so much better for our car. It's going to be quiet, it's going to be cool and hot, whether it's winter or summer. It's going to make your HVAC work a lot better. I think pretty much every project should have some sort of sound deadening like lizard skin.
Yes, definitely. So what we have here is our sound control formula, and what it is, it's a water-based coating that is a one-part product, and you can spray it on using our gun that we have made. As you can see, it's got a very large orifice, and it also has a very large pickup tube. So it's specially made to handle this very thick, viscous product. By spraying it on, you're going to create a seamless barrier, and it's going to cut out all the noise and vibration that's coming from the engine, coming from the road noise, all the little things that can annoy you when you want to cruise down the road in this beautiful vehicle.
That is absolutely right.
And then we also have our ceramic insulation, and that's there to prevent heat from coming into the vehicle when you're trying to cool down while you're driving down the road looking good in this beautiful car. By encapsulating the interior, you can put it on the roof. So that's going to protect the heat coming in from the sun, it's going to protect the heat coming in from the exhaust, and it's going to protect from the heat coming in from the engine. Now, by doing all that, it's going to keep everything inside probably about 30 degrees cooler than you would normally notice driving on it with no insulation whatsoever.
And that's where the AC compressor is going to cycle a lot less, and so therefore you're going to save money on fuel economy. Now, why do you have the bell and the griddle?
Well, we want to showcase to the audience today about how powerful these products really are and how well they perform. So this griddle is something you can pick up at Walmart. They run about, $20, but it's running at 300 degrees now. And what I want to show you is with just 1 millimeter of our product, which is our recommended thickness for your vehicle, we're going to protect this ice from melting while the other side is going to start boiling off here pretty quickly. So.
And anytime you guys are applying something like this, you always want to make sure that prep is the most important portion of the install. You want to make sure that the floor is completely clean and free of debris. You want to put on a primer because this sticks to a primer. It's water-based.
Yes, it is water-based, and so because of that, it's low in VOCs, extremely environmentally friendly, and you won't have any off-gassing. So you can just apply it with a dust mask, and all you really need is that and some safety glasses for application.
Okay. Now, what about the pressures coming out of the gun? Do you have to regulate the shop air pressure?
Yes, you do. You're going to want it between 50 and 70 PSI depending on the product, and everything is in here in our application instructions. It shows you exactly what your air pressures you want. If you don't have shop air, if you're doing this at your house like a lot of our customers do, you just need an air compressor capable of 4 to 5 CFM and up to about 70 PSI.
There you go. And you give them a tool to gauge their thickness.
Right. Because this is a spray-on coating, we have a wet mill gauge where we denote how thick we want the product on per coat. It's a total of 2 millimeters, so about 2 dimes thickness is going to protect your car from heat and noise and keep you cool and comfortable. We also have 2 bells that they're exactly the same. This one with no sound control, and this one with 1 millimeter. As you can see, there's no vibration, there's no reverberation, and that's going to be the same thing in your vehicle.
Man, Will, that looks awesome. It's going to make such a huge difference for us.
Yeah, no, it really is. The best part is y'all have encapsulated the entire vehicle, so the cabin is completely protected from heat and noise. But the other great part is by putting the sound control on the underbody as an undercoating and then putting the ceramic insulation on the floorboards here, you're sealing out moisture completely. And so that's going to keep your car rust-free and driving down the road cool and quiet for years to come.
And don't you guys have an added layer of protection that's new?
Yeah, you guys don't need it in this vehicle, but our off-road enthusiasts who are putting our coatings on the Jeep tubs and things like that, they really enjoy using this top coat that we've got. It's a glossy, more durable added layer of protection that's going to protect against all the mud and water and everything that you guys are doing out in the mud pits.
That's a great idea. I cannot wait to get this thing out on the road and really feel the difference with lizard skin on it.
Definitely.
Here's HE&M Saw's Project Hudson Hornet.
Doug, I know you've worked on a lot of classic cars, a lot of your own cars you've helped restore. I know you've worked on trim, but have you ever taken apart the trim on a 54 Hudson?
Never have. So this is going to be a little bit of a learning experience. Most of the trim, I pretty well know how they design it and how they put it on, but I've never taken it off, so there's going to be some little tricks and things we're going to learn along the way.
And this is where you want to take it slow, do a right job. You don't want to damage the trim because you may not find it, and it's going to be very expensive. We're going to get this Hudson ready for paint, and it's going to save you guys a lot of money if you de-trim it yourself. Here are some tools. I am going to take off the headlights and taillights and bezels because that's a lot easier work, right? Now tell them about the tools we're using and why.
Yeah, the tools that we're using, there's a couple things that you really need to know onto that. These tools are plastic, and the plastic is not going to go ahead and damage or dent the body work at all. The other thing that we've got is we've got some of the tape that we talked about earlier, and so you guys at home, when you're getting ready to do a car, especially if you have the paint work's already done, then it's real important that you take the tape, and as we get ready to work, what we're going to do is we're going to just apply the tape along the paint. And this way we won't damage the paint. And the nice thing about this type of tape is it can sit there for a little while, and when you pull it off, the glue will stay on the tape and not on the body.
This is part of the prep of doing a restoration, or for any of you guys who have a newer car that wants to do a paint job, the paint guy is going to ask you, hey, do you want to take the trim off, or do you want me to do it, or do you want me to tape the trim up? And what you want to do is, the best thing to do would be to remove the trim yourself, save the money, and that way you don't have any paint marks, no taping. It just does for a better finished job when you assemble the car. Inventory and documentation on something like this, especially an older car, is very important. This is the left front housing. I'm going to simply write left front on the inside so that when they go to do the finishing on it, they won't affect the back side of it, the inside. That's right front, left front. The headlights won't matter. We can just stock those, but at least when we go to reassemble, we'll know where those go. Disassembly of the trim and assembly of the trim is going to be one of the biggest tasks of any restoration, any major paint job. You know, this is why you have to go slow, because something like this, I've never taken it off. He's not familiar with it. Not a lot on the internet to help us with. So it's just one of those trying to figure out scenarios. You know what I mean?
Sam, after taking a hard look at these things are screwed on from underneath, and they've been on for 65 years.
You know what? I don't think it's going to be worth going through the trouble and possibly damaging these, because if we damage them, then we have to have them refinished. There are people out there that can refinish this trim, but it's going to cost you some money, and it may or may not fit correctly when it's done.
Yeah, absolutely, because if we stretch this metal and then when we try to reattach them, we're going to have some real issues. We do have a way out of it, and the way out of it is what we'll go ahead and do before we repaint the car. We'll come in here with some buffing wheels and some rouge, and we'll just recondition it so it looks almost new. And then what we'll do is when they get ready to paint the car, let them do all the work, then we'll use this same type of tape, and they'll tape right across the top of it to protect it.
That way, you do the polishing before the paint. When you get it back from paint, the polishing compound won't get all over your new finish.